Well, welcome everybody. I don't know how many viewers I'll actually have. It's Friday morning, which seems to be the time that I have been able to do these things. Just doing the level checks and checking out what I got on the maps. And I realized I haven't actually done a screenshot yet of the map I'm going to analyze. But hey, everything else is looking pretty good here. I just wanted to get one of these done. I have the day off, which is usually when I'm doing these things, and just keep my mind fresh on what the pattern going in is going to be. I don't know when I'll get another chance to do these since I'm working another 6 in a row of day shifts coming up starting tomorrow. And one of the things, and that also, and one of the reasons is during this pay period, typically you work, I guess I'm doing 7 in a row now that I think about it. We're in a pay period right now. I've already done one 10-hour shift, and that was when I did my spotter talk over at Beulah. No, it wasn't a 10-hour spotter talk. I went over to Beulah, and it was an administrative shift, so I basically did all the prep stuff I needed to do, make sure the computer worked, make sure I could get logged into the computer when it was offline, and then do all the technical things and make sure that it works with the projector that we use. And so that was the early part. Then the drive over, and it's an hour and 45 minutes from the office to Beulah. So over in Benzie County, where I did my talk, and I met a lot of good folks there. In fact, one was a retired weather service employee from the Grand Rapids office who I knew of and probably had even talked to back in the day when I first got into Gaylord, because he didn't retire for a few years after, so there was some overlap there. But yeah, as soon as he said his name, and it's like, oh, I know who this guy is. And sure enough, that's who he was. He was former Grand Rapids hydrologist at one point. Let's see here. Just looking at my stream metrics, making sure everything looking good. So far, so good there. And looking at OBS, don't see any dropped frames on this end. Although I saw a little bit of drop in the bandwidth. Okay, so, and Angel's there. Hi, Angel. That's the other thing I haven't done is I usually pop out my comments so I can put them on the screen separately and shove them over here to the one side. That way I can get a chance to take a look at what people are saying. So we'll pull this down. What is this doing? Just a few extra windows I wasn't expecting here. There we go. All right. Well, let's, as I usually have been starting to do with these, I usually I've been kind of running the weather forecast first. That way, if people just want to, bow out and they don't want to watch me analyze a weather map, then they can do that. So to get started with, that's not the one I want. And I need to move over to the screens anyways. Here we go. All right. So that's the current weather map. You can see a lot of lake effect snow showers over our area, and we'll get into that as I do the map. But the forecast for today, especially around the Gaylord area, which is isolated snow showers before 10 a.m., the snow showers are really falling apart. The dry air from the high pressure that's somewhat causing these is about moved in here. So it's still going to be cloudy here for the day for a certain extent. And then says increasing clouds tonight. So we must have some sort of break in sun with a little bit of sunshine coming up later on this afternoon, and then increasing clouds overnight, so that Saturday we have a chance for rain or snow after 2 in the afternoon, and then snow on Saturday night, and then Sunday looks mostly cloudy. We'll see what mostly cloudy is going to mean. That could mean anywhere from 70% cloud coverage to about 90, I think. I'm trying to remember what the definitions are for that. In my mind, that's about what it is. So we'll go with it. So then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday look to be about like that. If we get farther out into the forecast, there is some sort of thing coming up. Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday. Looks like it's a rain event. If I don't miss my guess from what I looked at earlier, and we might take a look at the computer models later on into the on here in a bit as well. But anyway, that's just kind of what we're looking at here coming up. Temperatures, let's see, we're bouncing around. Looks like today 33, tomorrow 39, then 40, 42, 49. So we're bouncing, let's see, below to around normal for the early part of the week, and then Tuesday and in the midweek looks like we're above normal. I think our normal temperatures are like 41, 42 degrees here in Gaylord. We can check into that later as well, but so that's just the basics of what the forecast is looking like. So that ought to be kind of fun to do. Look at the weather. Let's see here, today's weather. What our news weather headline from the office is saying. Calendar shows it's April. It won't feel like it with temperatures 10 to 15 below normal. Flurries give way to partial clearing through the day. Okay, so we are going to probably see some sunshine. Temperatures remain chilly Saturday night. Fresh coating of snow likely in a few areas. Clouds will diminish. It's on Sunday. Additional precipitation chances for the rest of the week. Yeah, so it's a pretty... looks like it's going to remain it's an active weather pattern, but it looks like it's going to be rather non-hazardous, to put it. We're not expecting anything that, at least nothing jumps out right now for us to have any sort of headlines. I see today, highs 32 to 40. The weekend, highs 37 to 42. And then Sunday, 38 to 46. And this is for all of northern Michigan. So that includes from Sault Ste. Marie in eastern upper Michigan all the way down to Gladwin in the southern part of our forecast area. So that's about how the temperatures usually range in that area. One thing, I know we've got a couple of people in our office, and one especially, he's making syrup. So this... and it's our ag focal point. She's been working at the office here recently, so she likes to do these maple syrup outlooks as well. So you got a couple of people who know what's going on with this. I think because her family actually they do some maple syrup on their farm too. So at least temperatures look for the next couple of days pretty decent for sap running from what I remember them telling me, which is where you want temperatures to get down below freezing at night and then up into the 40s for the early, to get the sap to start running during the daytime. So that's what the maple syrup outlook is for this time. So with that, let's see here. What else? I guess that's what we're basically looking at. We're going to get into the weather map here today. Okay. Well, and the same reason, I do have up on my screen, which you can't see at this point, the 9Z surface analysis, and It shows pretty much what I was expecting when I saw the map this morning. Move a few things out of the way. Which there should be like an area of high pressure just off to our, west, which is causing the northwest flow. And I will, here, why don't I just draw that in here a little bit. Let's do that with, what color? And we'll do it with yellow. Okay, so, and now, right, of course, because I restarted my tablet. Now my pencil is disconnected. Yay. Everything's just going great here, but you can see. All right, I think this is all set now. Let's do this. Okay, so winds, how well is that showing up? Yeah, not too bad. I'll figure out a better way to do this. So the winds, for the most part, are doing something like this, coming across the lake. Now, it's not just at the surface, but that's where it's pretty evident at this point. You can see with the high pressure that the winds are going in this direction to the north. So the core of the high is probably in here somewhere. And we got this northwest flow. You can draw all these streamlines around here. And there's low pressure off to the east. 990, 992. So the low is probably up in here. So we'll get into the analysis here, but it's just a couple of things that I'm just looking at. Streamlines have always been helpful for me to figure out where some of these features are located before I even do the pressure analysis. What I was going to say about lake effect is that we actually look at a layer of at least up through 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. So in the technical sense, it's the between 1,000 and 850 millibars, or in our case, the surface. Because at 1,000 millibars, that's actually below, height-wise, it's below our current elevation. It's probably down closer here towards, well, we can see 1,000 millibars. Oh, here, Albany, New York. That's where it's 1,000 millibars. And so, well, that's surface sea level pressure. I keep forgetting those are not the station pressures. But anyway, our pressure here in Gaylord's probably running around 970, 975, somewhere in there. So we're not at 1,000 millibars at the station pressure. Now, all of these on the map are reduced down to sea level, so they make an adjustment. And we're going to clear this screen here. Oh, this is what I need to do. So that we can do these analysis. Just like the time where we're all taking our observations in Zulu time so that everyone is coordinated across the world. We also do a few things to be able to analyze the maps. So even out west, where the station pressure might actually be 850 millibars, which is roughly 5,000 feet in the atmosphere, we end up with we have a sea level pressure which goes below ground, but it helps us to do these maps. So, and I'll show you the 9Z map here real quick. We'll just cut over to there. You can see the high pressure system, like I was saying, runs right down the center of the country with that northwest flow in Michigan. Let's see here. Oops. No. Come on, mouse. Don't be acting goofy here. All right. So you get that northwest flow across Lake Michigan and into northern lower. Basically a north flow coming in off of Lake Superior. So that's how we kind of see a lot of these flow events. You have a north flow up here, and then it becomes northwest or northwest, and you get all these light lake effect snow showers coming in here, sometimes heavy, depending on the difference in the water temperature and how cold it is at 5,000 feet. But we're going to go back to the analysis, and we will continue the analysis here. So let's get started. Let me get rid of one little... Make sure I have a completely clean surface here. So let's get started. And I see 1016 here in the middle. I see 1017, 1017, 1019. That's right. So we get into northern Missouri. That's about the northern part of where the core of the high is, which looks to be about 1018 down in, down in Arkansas, actually. So we probably have several small areas of high pressure in there. So let's start at the 1018 line here on the bottom. And that looks to be going in roughly this area. So doing 1016 then. How far north do I go? Well, it looks like something like this. Oops, but too far out. Okay. So this map, since I just took it at 9:32 this morning, these observations are from around 9 a.m. So that would be 13Z, 13 Zulu. Since 12 with the time change in daylight savings time, the Zulu time is 12Z at 8 a.m. I just realized I'm crunching ice in your ear. And I'm drinking a cold brew coffee that I brewed here the other day. Mary got a Tupperware cold brew system, which for me is good because I like cold brew. I like iced coffees in general, but I just like cold drinks. I don't mind hot drinks. I actually like hot coffee too. Especially when I'm working the night shift and we have, and it's cold outside after coming in and launching the balloon. It's nice to come in and have a hot cup of coffee to try to warm up. Okay. Yeah, this is taking shape finally. All right. 12. Uh-huh. Ten. Oh, 08. There's an 06. Where are we at? That is southern Colorado. Oh, yeah, there's a 1003 low. Nebraska. So that was the low is down there in northern New Mexico, southeastern Colorado ish. Looks like a 1004 low in that general area, something like that. 1003 is what they have it labeled on at 9Z. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's what that was looking like. Now here we are, 4 hours later. Let's see here. Where are we at? 14. Okay. So I got to find another 1012 line then. I think I have found it. 12. Oops. Dipped probably a little on the low side there. Too far south. Let's do that. Come on. Yeah, sometimes things aren't quite as nice and neat as you'd like to think. Sometimes in the weather biz. Let's see here, 1010. I think that's some of what people's misperceptions about the weather. It's either we get a lot of well, I shouldn't say a lot. There is a vocal minority on our Facebook page sometimes that can, that do use the old joke, I wish I could be wrong half the time and still get paid, sort of thing. And, when you actually look at the statistics, we're probably in the 90% range for getting things right. But what happens is we don't get it right at their house, and it's got to be almost exactly right. And especially when it's snowing, like either they didn't get enough snow or they got too much. And part of it, I like to think it's just that it's either overly simplified when they're being taught the science, and more likely they probably just didn't pay attention. Because, when you're in high school, that's part of the other thing too. When you're in high school or middle school and you're learning anything about atmospheric science, it's kind of glossed over. I know teachers try to do a decent job with it, but that's what I have recollections of. Because in my high school, there was no meteorology taught. Well, we had physics class, and it might be briefly touched on there. Typically, we didn't have a whole lot in that, at least my recollection of it. And meteorology takes a lot of the different disciplines, so you get there's a little bit of chemistry involved. There's a lot of physics involved, but how it all comes together is usually not taught, at least in the high school level. But I remember I was, I'm more of a science geek anyway, so I think this stuff is all kind of cool, and especially when it came down to meteorology. And some people have asked me, when did I know what I wanted to do when I grew up? And I can trace it back to at least second grade, when I had a teacher who got a chalk markable weather map, and I saw it and I said, "Ooh, can I take that home and put the weather on it?" And she said, "Sure. You can come back in tomorrow and you can present it to everybody." I said, "Okay." And that's when it started. I had different thoughts and about things I wanted to do as a kid, though, through that time period. I stopped, I think, in fourth grade. I wanted to be a geologist because I liked rocks. Used to collect rocks. Let's see. Oh, 98. That's what I want to do. And I started to, okay, 8, 7, 9. $98. Oh, I think I need more coffee. Let's get rid of that little spurious line there. Okay, so now 96. Okay, so this is what I need to do. All right, we'll take that spurious line out and that 96. Oops, let's do this. Okay. 96. Boom. And the rest of them over here in New England are right around 996, 997. So it doesn't. So that's where the low is. Yep. Looking at the 9Z analysis, I need to back out a couple screens there. Oh, not that far. Mouse, you're so touchy sometimes. Okay. So let's add some H's and L's on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is the H, and it looks like it's trying to H up here too. I know it's crossing the lines. Usually you do it within the line, but you got all this area of, here, let's do this. Change this to yellow on the highlighter. So you get this big area of calm air that's going on. And that is, that's probably where the core of the high is. I probably could have put it like up here. Let's do that instead. Because you'll get these little highs and ridges. In fact, the 9Z map actually shows an H in this area. So let's get rid of this one. I suddenly have this feeling, or vision of the PBS, the guy who has always did the map, not the maps, the painting, the watercolor, how you can paint, the artist there, and I forget what his name is, that they made fun. It's like, oh, here's a snow scene, and it's a white thing, and he's brushing with white paint or doing something like that. So I'm having that thing right now with me doing this map. So there's the high pressure there. Oh, low pressure. We got another one down in this general area. So we'll put it down here in the southeastern corner. Got another one up here. That's where our next weather system is actually coming from, is that one up in Canada. It's an Alberta Clipper. It's not going to get all the way south into us, but it is going to bring its cold front through. And its cold front, let's see, what color am I in? Okay, blue. Its cold front looks to be about right here. And then it starts changing into a stationary front. So we're going to go warm. Oh, I changed that. Okay. Warm. Cold. Warm. Okay, and the side that the nubs are on, if people don't know, and the little barbs, for cold fronts barbs, they're always pointing in the direction that the air mass is going. So down here on the stationary front, the stationary part of the front, the warm air is trying to go west and the cold air is trying to come east. Obviously, it's winning the battle up here, where just under south of the low, because all the winds are coming out of the south or coming out of the west and north, where all the cold air is. And then you've got all this southwest flow or southerly flow out ahead of it, so where all the warmer air is. And you can see that a little bit. Sometimes the temperatures aren't quite as marked on either side of the boundary at the beginning, especially if the low is new, or if it's in this region. It's like it's in the Dakotas right now. And one of the things that you run into with air masses out here is that as the air comes down, descends off the Rockies, it starts to warm because it's compressing. So higher up in the mountains, it's lower pressure, and as that same air pressure descends, it gets compressed. And just like with a hand pump for a bicycle tire, if you feel the bottom of the pump after you've been pumping on that thing for a while, it gets pretty warm, and that's because you're compressing air and it doesn't have its energy to go anywhere. So it creates heat. You could probably also say it's more or less that the air molecules are bouncing around and causing friction. I mean, that's also a possibility as well. So it's a little more than that, though. Let's see. I'm in blue. Good. Okay. Well, there is a cold front that runs roughly down this coast. Do it this way. That's a little better. Okay. And I think that's pretty much... Oh, I see. There's a couple of lows. There's one in New England. There's this one up here in Quebec. I've kind of put them all together. I see WPC on their 9Z map. Let's see. Do they have the latest up here yet? The 12Z map in here. 12Z map is in. Oh, we can check my work. So this is how my analysis looks. As you see that one. And so if we cut over to WPC, let's see if I can zoom in one layer. Oh, here, let's do this. One layer. Boom. All right. So, yeah, due to some of the lack of data that's in there, and the wind's kind of stewing around in that area near, it's northeast of Montreal. Montreal is just a little bit north of, it's in one of these stations in here, and the lows up here. I've got it analyzed way up here. They've got this thing off of a part of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick area, and then you've got another one up here in Quebec. My analysis is kind of like taking everything, and it's just because I don't have enough data filled in on this one. I probably could have done a better job at it and looking at it. But, You get out to the edges of the map, it's not as critical. But here's the Alberta Clipper. So Alberta, this is where it originated out of this air mass, and it's descending down here. It's going to probably go through. Oh, we can take a look at that here in a second. What's my time on this so far? That's the thing. Not anything that I can see on any of my screens. It tells me how long I've actually... 42 minutes. Okay, well, that's not too bad. I could probably continue going just like I normally do and be almost a full hour. But I did want to take a look at... I was looking at it on here. Let's see here. We'll finish the map. I'm going to minimize this so I can see my screens again. And I'm going to pull up Safari on my... There we go. Good. All right, so I get the GFS running on my... from Pivotal Weather. And so... there's a couple of model sites I use. I like this one. We've used it in the office for some stuff. And then I use Tropical Tidbits as well. I'm really a fan of especially Levi Cowan's hurricane and tropical storm talks that he does during the hurricane season. Okay, so let's see. The only thing about using NDI is I don't have a good, on my tablet, is I don't have a good way to show it, to highlight some of these things. So let's do this. Now that you're looking at the GFS on that one, I am going to quickly, hopefully, go to Pivotal Weather on my screen here. Bam. All right. And we will turn off the bookmarks on Safari there, and we will fade over to the Mac. And I think I'm going to stop broadcasting that screen. And I'm going to put up this over here. Okay. This is what happens when you're also the engineer as well as trying to talk about what's going on here. So I'm going to put this in forecast loop mode. And we're going to move this up just a touch. Okay. So here we go. So the thing I wanted to point out is here's the Alberta Clipper on the GFS. This is the 6Z run. So the 12Z run is initializing and they're still running it. Probably be at least another hour and a half, I think, is when we start receiving stuff, both here on the website and then also at the office. We all get it at about the same time. So as soon as the Environmental Modeling Center gets it done, then they start shipping it out. So this is expected to go almost due east. So it doesn't sink very much to the south. In fact, it looks like it's going to cut across. Now, there is a little, if we looked at the upper level, I'm sure there's some sort of jet feature that's in here that's forcing the low, another low into the lower Great Lakes that goes into the mid-Atlantic. But you see the high pressure that we've got here off to our west this morning, and it kind of moves through. There's some light snow with this Clipper system that also has that mid-level thing through the Ohio Valley. And then we get another system on Monday. Yeah, Monday. A little bit of snow going through. Looks like it's going to be a quick little burst. It's also, I wouldn't call that a Clipper-ish. You could kind of say it is. It's coming out of the lee of the Rockies and the plains. But it is something that did drop out of the north there. And then we've got this thing. So we are now at hour 111. Let's see. So a little bit farther in. What time is this? This is 114 hours. Let's see. The 6th. What day is the 6th? I don't remember what day that is. We are on the 6th is next Wednesday. Oh, it does say Wednesday. So next Wednesday, then, we get a low that comes up out of the Gulf Coast area. Well, Southern Plains, Texas. So we get a Texas low, comes up, which is where we've had a lot of our lows come out of this winter. And it looks like it should stay just to our southeast here. So we're expecting it, at least at this point, there's no mixed precipitation in this. This is going to be plain rain, and then eventually just changes over to snow as the cold air gets pulled into the system. Let's see here. Yeah. And then and then it retrogrades and sits there and wants to spin all over here. So my guess is, let's see if we'll just do it. Oh, I hate it when it does that. That's the one thing about pivotal weather. It can be a little annoying, is that when you mouse movements can sometimes get itself. There we go. Let's take a look at 500 millibars. This is the middle of the atmosphere. This will be the middle of the atmosphere. So keep an eye on where this low is at the surface. Oh, look at that. Well, we got to get out that far first. Wednesday. Oop, there it is. Thursday, Wednesday. See how the low, this area low pressure in the upper atmosphere. So what's going on is that low is filling and stacking up. And so you'll see, in fact, it kind of splits itself and just has two little lows that sit there and orbit each other for a bit. Yeah, so when we get into these big cutoff patterns, so it's what we call, we're going from zonal flow straight across, east to west. Looks like, so we've got a big pattern change coming up, or some sort of a pattern change. We got a lot of energy diving into the south of the low pressure system here. And that's the energy I'm talking about, is the wind speeds. So when you've got that diving in the base of a trough, it tends to develop the low pressure in the upper atmosphere. And then you end up with this nice big low. And so now you got a nice, what we call a high amplitude pattern. So here's the low, and it's very deep. And then you've got the high amplifying behind it. So we're going to keep moving it. But it is a progressive pattern. So in a planetary sense, it's still pretty movable. We're not having a big cutoff where the low just sits over us and we just get crappy weather for a week. So, yep. So our spring, I know everyone has been always talking about that. That explains some of our spring, in that we have had really warm weather, and then we get some really cold weather. Now, we've been below normal here for a bit, so we've been on the south end of the jet stream. I'll kind of show that here. See how all the jet energy, all these little wind were maximums, we're always kind of a little bit south. Every once in a while, we get on the north in there, and it starts to warm up a bit, only for it to get caught on the south end of it. And then it does it again. And then we stay for a couple of days in there, and then we warm up. And that looks like that could be a pretty decent warm up, and that is on the 12th. As I tell people, though, this is not gospel. This is not expected to be the end all. And these models, especially when you get this far out, they get really squirrely. Let's try this here. Oh, all right. What time do I have on here? Let's see. That's what I wanted to check here too. All right. I see I'm at 51 minutes, so we should probably start winding this up. So on the European, we can go out 10 days on that, and you can see with the thickness lines, that's our temperatures. Oh, 500. Oh, no, that's actually the geopotential height. So we have that same sort of pattern. So we're going way out there, and it looks like, yeah, we'll have periods of cold and then warm and then cold again. Yeah, so that is something that we will have to definitely keep in mind. Though I always forget about. Does this? No, this isn't the one. Tropical tidbits. Let's see here. Let me do that one real quick. Levi's got that on his site. Radars. Oh, there it is. Forecast models, tropical tidbits. So we'll do that real quick here. And we're going to close this. I've been on the site enough times. I know what I'm doing here. So we'll look at the CFS weekly. So this is the climate forecast system. So week 1, so this is, it includes out through April 8th. So that we're in that cooler pattern. You can kind of see where the jet is. The warmer air is out this way. So week 2, we get into, which is ends on April 15th. That gives us an anomalously warm pattern. So that's kind of nice. Week 3, we start to cool off a little bit, probably closer to normal for a bit. Week 4, as we get to the end of the month, looks like it's trying to put us into everything's warmer, but we're still kind of in that pattern where we're not quite. The long wave pattern is the trough is off to our east and the ridge is just off to our west. So we're kind of in a sort of, I would say, almost a normal or slightly warmer than normal pattern. Week 5, as we get into May, looks like we'll be in that same basic idea. And then we all of a sudden get cold on in May 13th. Okay, well, it won't be suddenly. This is an overall generalized pattern. So anyway, that's what it kind of looks like. And if you really want to have some fun, here's May, here's June's overall monthly pattern. July, August. Yeah, so September, very zonal. Well, that is starting to go into fall, so that'd be very normal. October, we usually start seeing the colder air coming through. December, there we go. And that's what we got going. All right. Well, I think that'll end us on that note. Thanks for sticking around if you did. Let's see here. And for any of the stuff that we had going, remember, if you do maple syrup, you got probably a couple of decent runs here coming up during the day. So we're going to end it on that. So thanks for sticking around, and I will see you at the next time around.